Embossed postcards, are they worth more money than regular postcards? Let's find out. Now with this video, I get a lot of questions from people about embossed postcards. What are they? Are they worth more? What can I sell them for and stuff? So I thought I would go through and do some investigation in embossing. And that'll be the special topic for today. We'll look into embossing a little bit and what I found out. And I got a few examples to show you, and we'll go over the pricing. I'm not for sure if they really add value. We'll find out. Then I have the what solds, cards that I sold on eBay, Etsy, and Hip. I sold 15 cards for $72 on eBay, two cards on Etsy for about $9, and one card on Hip. And I'll sprinkle those throughout the video. Then I have a poll, and this was an interesting poll. Do you remove the Flea Market antique booth price from the back of postcards? I probably get that question 1 or 2 times a week from people just seeing a video and sending me a question. What do you do with the prices on the back? So I'll go over that when we get to the poll section. And at the end of the video, stick around. I got a couple of viewer comments that will spur some discussion. But let me go ahead and get through a couple of these what sold cards. And remember, it's not about the dollars. Even though, we do this to make money and reinvest in the business, etc. This is more about the variety. What are people buying? What am I selling? I don't sell the top cards. I don't do a lot of those. I stay around the white border, divided back, linen, chrome. That's kind of what I like to do. It's more from my era. But if I do see some of the older ones, I will. But I'm not a real artist. Signed one, and Halloweens are hard to find. But I will do the novelty. So that's kind of my niche. Everybody does it a little bit different. So hope this will help you. The first card I sold was on Hip. Hip Postcards is kind of slow. It's about 5% of my sales. This was a chrome card of the first Texas Capitol at Austin, 1839 to 1856. Just a chrome card. It's a real solid, one of good card stock on there. Nice clean card, clean edges. Sold between $4 and $5. And then on Etsy I had 2 cards. The first card was some Indians. Mountain Spirit Dance. Chrome card. Another nicely done card. The edges are nice. I don't think it's ever used, or it was stored correctly. No aging. Just a chrome card. And that sold for $4.65. Etsy is a little higher because of the fees. I had to go about 10-15 cents a little higher than eBay just because of the fees on Etsy. And Etsy is about 15% of my sales, is usually what I average out. The next one is the 3 churches on the green, New Haven, Connecticut. So this is a linen postcard of 3 churches. 1, 2, 3. So you get to pick where you want to go. Unused. And if you notice, right up there is a price. Someone put 75 cents on it right there. So the poll we got today, do you remove those or not? We'll see what people responded. Let me do some of the eBay ones, and then I'll get into the special topic of embossed postcards and what I mean by that. So this gentleman bought 2 of these prints. These are the ship boat prints. These are in color. They actually printed these. This is the USS New Jersey BB-62, and he bought 2 of these. And these are on lighter cardstock, and I've said before in other videos, people either love them or they hate them, because some people feel they're just printed. Yes, they were. I disclosed that in the description. The club had the original negatives, which I do have now in the drives, of these cards, and they actually printed and sold them. So those sold for about $4.45, $4.50, I think $4.55 a piece. So two cards, not bad to one gentleman. The next one, this came from that private collection I'm doing the videos on, New York and stuff. And this gentleman I think was in the Navy as well, because here's the USS Rhode Island. This is an older divided back card, and this one doesn't have any writing on it, but it's an older divided back of the Rhode Island, and this sold for $4.55. Next one is Capitol, Supreme Court, Library of Congress, and Home Office Building. So it's Washington, D.C. A lot of people would put this in the quarter box. I sold it for $4.55. Just a linen card, of all the buildings in Washington, D.C. Unposted linen card, $4.55. Now this card is from that private collection, and this is the Laurel House. I think I showed this on one of the videos. This actually sold for $9.50. This is an undivided back card. They canceled it upside down. But it's an undivided back of the Laurel House, Catskill Mountains. So if you see the Laurel House, make sure you do a little bit of research. But I got $9.50 for this card. And free shipping. And the last card before I get into the special topic is, at one time, a couple years ago, I bought a lot and it just had tons and tons of covered bridges. And I think this is what this is from. This is the Prather's Covered Bridge near Westminster, South Carolina. So there's the bridge right there. It's a chrome card. And again, there's that price we're going to talk about. Do you take those off? Do you leave them on? As you notice, I leave them on. But it's a chrome card. That sold for $4.55. Let me do this last pack here. It'll knock out a lot of the cards. This gentleman bought 6 of this boat here, this ship here, the USS Constellation CV-65. It's a world's largest conventionally powered aircraft carrier and built in New York since 1975. So he bought 6 of these in one order, and that order came to $27, free shipping. So these will probably go into a eBay standard envelope. It won't be too thick, and it'll go to that gentleman there. So thank you for that order, $27. Embossed postcards. A lot of questions. What are these? What do they mean by embossing? And are they worth more? We'll get into the pricing here in a minute. But here's the definition I found for embossed postcards. So embossed, postcards that have designs slightly raised above the card's surface. Heavily embossed postcards have almost a paper mache look to them. It stands out greatly above the surface. These are mainly used on the greeting type cards, but I've also found them, you know, like with these patriotic cards, different things like that. But the greeting, they are correct. I see them a lot on the greeting. But the slightly raised above the card's surface is embossed. Now, how do they do this? A lot of people ask me how they do this. Well, I'm not a printer, so I'm not for sure. So I went out and dug up some definitions on them and kind of pieced together my thoughts. So embossing sometimes uses heat, and sometimes it used to use pins, but they put holes in the card, so they kind of used heat on it and a pair of etched metal dies. One of the dies presses up to push the paper up, and the other one, the mold die, pushes down to make the image. So kind of like a cookie press. It kind of presses it together with some heat, and when they get done with it, they have a raised image and an indent on there. This resulting with a raised embossed image on top on one side and an indented, a pushed in image on the other. So that's embossing, how they did it. They did it with a die. They can press it. In the old days, you know, screw it down and press it, lean on it, or nowadays, you know, as the technology got better, they had machines. Embossing can be used with ink or colored foil. Sometimes you'll see that on the bottom of cards, older cards. It'll just have a name, and it'll just be pushed through the card with a little bit of ink on it, gold ink or something like that. It'll say West Haven, Connecticut or something. But they also use colored foil where they push it through on the foil. When embossing is used alone, it's called blind embossing. So that's when it's just pushed through the card, it's raised, and there's no ink or foil or anything. It's called blind embossing. So if you hear blind embossing, foil embossing, just think of embossed cards as kind of how I think about it. Then some designs use what they call a debossing. Mark, you're throwing all these terms out here. So embossing means you're pushing it up and raise the image. Debossing means the image on front of the card is pushed down. So it won't have a raised surface on top. It'll be pushed in, and the raised surface will be on the back. So it's just the opposite. It's the reverse effect on there. So it's indented and sunken is how I think about it. They also say an embossed postcard can make it feel more official, more expensive. You know, like a notary public seal on a letter or a presidential seal pushed through a piece of paper. They make it feel more official. Now, do you get more money because you gotta push through postcard? We'll find out. They also stand out over plain postcards. If you got a box of postcards and you're going through them, you're going to feel that embossed. They're going to stick out. So a lot of marketing firms will emboss pieces on cards, so people might have a better chance of reading it when they get the mail if it sticks out above the others instead of just a piece of cardboard with a printed picture on it. Embossing was normally done after the postcard was printed. It was because when they found out when they printed the picture on there, if they printed it on emboss, it would push the emboss in or it would not print correctly. So they would print the picture first, and then they would use the dies to do the embossing on there. Now, when embossing causes the writing area to be uneven, so if I have this card here and they emboss over here, it might be hard to write on. What they do is sometimes they'll glue another piece of paper on the back to flatten it out. And I've seen that on the different multiple ply postcards. But also this kind of, with the introduction of what they call the French fold for greeting cards. And you're sitting there, okay, another term, French fold. So I had to think about this. I've never really looked into this, but I got a piece of paper here. So a French fold is you get a piece of paper, you fold it down once, and yes, I did look at the pictures, and then you fold it over this way. So you have 4 sections. And what does that look like? It looks like a greeting card. So if they emboss the inside layer here, they have this piece of paper on this side to write on. It's nice and clear. Same with here. If they emboss the front page, they have here, and this is called the French fold. And I'm a rookie when it comes to that. I had to look at the picture. I'm saying, what are they talking about? There were some real cryptic ones, but it's basically how they introduced that to help with the embossing. And the greeting cards is a piece of paper, fold it down, and fold it over. So you have 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the embossing doesn't hurt the writing area. French fold. That's a bonus. Now, I have some embossed cards here, and I showed one of them, but this is a patriotic card. I got a bunch of these in auction. They just don't sell well. But this is embossed. I don't know if you can really see it on the back. I'll try to get it in there. But this is a Tux card right there. And if you feel it, you can feel it's raised. And it's an older card, so I think it's been pushed down some. But that's a patriotic card. But keep that in mind. When we get into the pricing, you'll see some of that. The next one is a older varnished card. It's got some crazing on it. I don't know if you can see the crackling, but see how the varnish on there is starting to crack in there and stuff. But this one is also, the numbers are actually embossed and raised. And they're slightly raised, not heavily embossed. But that's another one, and this was actually posted, I can't tell what year it is, but this is early 1900s, probably well, it says 1911, so and this has got like a foil, and that's the reason that's got a foil emboss. So it was pushed through, and it's got like a foil on there. Then they got that varnish on there, but it's all cracked and stuff. Then you get into the heavier embossed cards. Now, this isn't the heaviest embossed card I got, but it's a good depiction of a Valentine's card where they really embossed this card. So that's the Valentine's card, and you probably will be able to see the embossing on the back of this. Yeah, there it is, right there. You can see how they pressed it through. So this is the back, this is the indent, and then this is the raised surface. So this card is, I would say, is heavily embossed because it's pretty deep indents and pushed forward on there. So those are embossed postcards. A lot of people say, are they worth more money? My opinion, and I'll leave it up to you after we go through this, but I think what's really important is the subject. I think the subject sells the card more than the embossing. They do stick out, but when someone's looking at eBay and it's a flat picture, it's kind of hard to tell if it's embossed. A lot of times in the item certificates, I'll make sure I click embossed or I put it in the title. But does it help it sell a card? My opinion? No, I don't think so. So we'll go through the sold high, the sold low, list high, list low. Very simple. No fancy websites, no subscriptions to different things. I just go out and take a look at those 4 things. It gives me a good picture of what they're selling for. Now that doesn't mean if they all sell for 50 cents, I'm going to put mine up for 50 cents. My bottom base is $4.55. They will sit forever until I either promote them, put a sale on, or they sell. That's the number I need for that. Even if I buy the cards for a penny a piece, I still have a base of $4.55. And that will go up as postage goes up, postcard envelopes go up. You know, I'll raise and lower that as needed. But that's the base to make the margins I'm looking for. And so far that has been successful. But let's take a look at these sold highs. So here's 3 right here. And remember what I said, is it subject or is it in the embossed that's selling the card? So the first one is an embossed antique postcard, Bathing Beauty, Women Diving with Man and Boat. Great title. I mean, right up front, I probably would take the word antique out and put postcard up front and then put Bathing Beauty, Woman Diving with Man and Boat, and then embossed on the end. Because embossed isn't going to sell it. It's Woman Diving or Bathing Beauty. And I would probably get rid of the little quotes on the side too. Some search engines might throw those out, might throw it off. You know, some symbols. Nowadays, probably not. But that's a good title to play with. But that card sold for $89. Now, do you think the embossed sold it? Or was it because of the title and what's going on in the subject? I think it was the subject. Leave in the comments as you go through, because I want to play with this and see if embossed is really, so I can answer people back and say, check this out. The next one is a Valentine's, a 1911 vintage Valentine. I would throw the word vintage out. You don't need VTG and all that. Everybody knows it's a vintage. If you put 1911 in there, everybody knows it's vintage. Valentine postcard, winch, back and postcard, Cupid holding heart, nice. Throw the word nice out. It doesn't help. That's my opinion. So that card sold for $25.97. That title with the Cupid holding heart might have helped it, but still, it's the subject. $25.97. Did the word embossed help sell that card, or because it's embossed? A lot of Valentines are embossed. Next one, I think it's the same seller, vintage 1920. Throw vintage out. German Easter postcard embossed, child riding goat with balloon. I would probably move that child riding German Easter postcard. I put postcard up front, and then I would put Easter, take the word German probably out. Well, maybe German you could leave in there. Child riding goat with balloon, I would push to the front of the title. But, you know, that's just my opinion. But that's a neat one because there's a goat and a child. I think the subject also sold that too. I don't know if the word embossed sold that. Again, leave it in the comments. You know, am I thinking right? That this sold because of subject? But those are 3. Now, there were higher cards that sold for a lot more money. The Halloween, the Santas, the Christmas. I kind of threw those out because most people like me, we don't see those a lot. Those are in collections already, or they're just out of what we do. You know, I can't buy those I can't pay retail, and they're hard to find at a price that I could resell them. And it takes a lot of research sometimes, so I kind of threw those out. And I threw all the lower stuff out and just kind of look at the average. But these cards here, I think the subject is what sold these higher price cards. Now let's look at the sold low. I had to dig through here because there are so many 25-cent, 50-cent cards that sold. I still think people need to go back and look at their business cases, their plans, what they're doing. They're doing a lot of work for pennies. Not even, they're paying eBay to sell these cards. So the first one is just a greeting type card. It says they have the inventory number in the beginning of the title. That should be at the end. No one's going to search on C57-4709. I would definitely move that. There is no opinion or whatever. That's just basically needs to be moved. Birthday greetings. Embossed, 1905, 1910s postcard. Move postcard up front, put birthday greeting, embossed, and if you want to put the 1910s in there or whatever, but that's in the item specifics as well. But maybe you want to say flowers or something like that. But definitely move that inventory thing to the end. Knowing that that's your first important place, is the first couple words of your title. And this is the same seller next to it. Easter greetings embossed. So he's using the same type, he or she's using the same type of thing. Easter greetings embossed on there, $1.22. So you had those $89, $20 cards sell, then you had these cards sell. The subject on these are plain. These are generic cards, but you know, I would not list these cards myself. I got enough greeting cards and stuff like the Easter cards. Holiday cards to me don't get along real well unless they're the subject there. So these would go in my flea market box. But he got $1.22 for them with free shipping, 2 bids on an auction. So he's an auction guy. He's probably doing quantity. Then the next one. This is a U.S. postcard. Remembering poem, embossed flowers, lettering, clover. That's a keyword title. U.S. I would take out postcard, remembering poem, flowers, lettering, clover. They're trying to get on the search with the keywords. But that's sold for 35 cents in an auction with $1 shipping. So $1.35. You got 53 cents with eBay standard envelope in there. So you're already under $1. eBay's going to take their cut. Your envelopes in there, your time, your sleeve if you put it in there, and the cost of the card. What are you going to end up with? So I'm not the pricing police of postcards, but those are my opinions when I see those types of cards. Maybe they were hoping they'd get more in an auction, but I don't do many auctions. But I have seen lately, when you have a real good card, a lot of people have been getting some pretty good prices in auctions on the real nice cards. But let's take a look and see what people are listing these things for. And like I said before, these are always crazy extremes. And there's one on here I'll point out that I found the high and a low. But the first one here is 1900s going to the fire. Embossed postcard, horses, carriage, engine, fireman. $125? I think I have the same card or one real close to it. It's just embossed across it. Maybe I'm missing something here. But that to me is not a $125 card. I would pass. I wouldn't even dig any deeper on that because the picture is not real clear. Really on there, I'd probably get closer or get rid of that background and get a scanner. But $125, maybe I'm missing. Let me know if I'm missing something, but I would pass on that one. The next one is a Thanksgiving card. I did a video where I said, are they more collectible than... Because I have a bunch of these embossed on there. And this is also Black Americana. So they have to be careful with that. That's one of the things you want to be careful with is politically correct stuff. You know, is this something they're going to ban or take off? You know, you want to ride that edge, you can. But that's a sensitive thing in the public nowadays. And it always has been. But $79, I would pass on that one too. That Thanksgiving, I don't. Maybe it's a good subject. Let me know. But to me, I don't collect holiday cards, or I try not to I get them in lots, but I don't actually source them. I pass on them. Now the next one. This is George Washington. And if you've watched my other videos, I have a lot of Georges, and George don't do well for me. I've tried different prices. People suggested things to me, pictures, titles, and they just don't sell. And that's probably one of my worst buys in an auction. I thought I was doing real well. But this is a 1910 antique. Take it out. Postmark 1910. Take postmark out. Take nice out. Embossed. Washington's birthday should be up front. George Washington should be in the title, you ask me. Boy, am I being picky today on titles. But $75 or best offer and $4.50 shipping. So you're going to pay $80, $70, $80 for a George Washington card. Now when I get to the next section, just remember this card here is $75 for George Washington with some cherries around it. So let's take a look at the listed low. So remember, we got $125, $79, and $75 embossed postcards. Now when I searched this, I used the word embossed in the search screen. So that's why these are popping up. Then we get into the gentleman again that puts his inventory number up front. Birthday greetings, embossed, 1910s. So he's using the same type of title there. Maybe he's successful with that, but I would definitely move that inventory. But this, you can tell almost from the picture that that's a heavily embossed card. He's got it listed for 50 cents in an auction. It looks like got one bid on it, so someone did buy it for 50 cents free shipping. 50 cents free shipping. Postage is 53 cents with eBay standard envelope. He's already paying that customer 3 cents to buy that card. So people need to manage their business. Right there, they're selling that one at a loss. Maybe he thought he'd get more. Maybe the next one he'll get it for $10, and he's doing an average thing. But you can go up more. Now the next one is vintage 1912 embossed greetings postcard, gold bells, lily flowers, all happiness. Get rid of the quotes. Get rid of the vintage. Put greeting postcard and gold bells up front in your title to see if you can get the search to go. But the $1.60 was, and they put it 20% off. Go find some other cards. You know, $1.60. It just, we went from $79 to $1.60. Now we get into the George Washington. Remember, we had the $75 card with cherries and George embossed. Now we got postcard 1910 George Washington embossed, VPCA, which is their inventory number probably. Kind of almost the same card with cherries around it for $2.99, free shipping or best offer. So $75, $2.99. That's the extremes of postcard pricing. So does embossing help with the price of postcards? Does it help sell the postcard if you put that in the title? Do people actually look for embossed cards? In my opinion, I think the subject is really still what sells the card. Embossed or not embossed on there. But now embossed cards are nice to have, and they do feel good. But with a flat picture on eBay, I still think it's subject. What do you think? You know, prove me wrong on there. Embossed postcards. Who knew? Now let me go through a couple more of these cards here for eBay that I sold. I sold a family of deer. At night, it looks like they got caught on a field camera with a light. But this was posted in 1967. Just a chrome card, $4.55. Animals. They sell. Now the next one I sold, and these don't sell as fast. These sell for $4.55. This is the naval cover. These are ship covers that were stamped on. Each ship has a post office, and it was stamped on there. And remember, this little patch back here is a petty officer from the mail services section on the boats. And I have those patches for sale in the store. Pretty cheap. I got a whole bunch of them with this ship lot. But this is the USS Phillip from 1954. So a lot of people will ask the boats to send them stuff. And there was some writing on the back of these, but these don't go eBay standard envelope. I have to send these with a stamp and a label, and I put them in a bigger eBay envelope because they're a little longer. I don't want them to be squished, but they're not doing bad. I still got another 1,000 or so to put up, but they're kind of lower priority because they don't sell as fast. And the last card I sold for what's sold today, this is Beach Pacific Grove with a bunch of flowers. 1953. I'm not for sure where in the heck this is. It's along the Pacific coast. Just a chrome card, a view card. A lot of people put this in a quarter box. I sell these cards all the time. Types of cards like this. It's a memory for someone. So I can either sell the higher end cards, or I can sell the memories in the white border, divided back, white border, linen, chrome cards, and novelty. That's really where I like to do it. And ships and boats, as you can tell on there. And that ships and boats do that. I'm doing real well with those. Naval ship haul. So polls every Saturday morning. I think about 9 o'clock, I sent out a new poll in the community tab on the channel. And you might see it or might not, but you can always go to the community tab and look and see what the percentages are of people voting on these things. Now, I don't know who, when you click on the vote yes or no, if you leave a comment, I see the user ID, I know who it is, but if you just vote, it's anonymous, they don't give me that information. But this one was, I get this question probably 2 or 3 times a week. Do you remove the flea market antique booth price on the back of postcards before listing? So that's the little mark, like this one right here. Someone had it in there, had 75 cents on it. Do you remove that? 25% of the people said yes. 73% said no. Me, never. I leave it up to the collector. I don't want to smudge the card, and it would just take too much time. I think it's a part of the history of the card. You know, I've never had anybody say, well, I had a price of 25 cents on there. Why did you sell it for $4? I've never had anybody do that. So I don't even look at that type of stuff. Whatever's on the back is on the back. That's part of the card. So I would be in the no. So it would go to 74%. I didn't vote on my own poll. But they also had some comments from people too. First comment, I think it's just part of the postcard's journey before it finds its next home. Exactly. That basically took the words right out of my mouth. Another person said, he used to remove them. He worried the price would affect what I was asking for the card since others, and then he said, since others don't, me, Popeye's Postcards, Matt from Jackass Retro, I realized how much of a time waste it was. Yes, it really is. You got an eraser, you got to look at it. Postcards, people that sell postcards and they sell other like hard goods and stuff like that, sometimes they treat postcards the same. You know, they're not. You don't want to spend as much time as you would on a bread maker testing it and stuff like that as you do a postcard, because you don't get the dollars for it. You need to put quantity up. Now, if you got higher end cards and you're that type of reseller, yes, you spend more time with that, but you get more money per card. But if you're just selling these average cards, you don't want to spend 5 minutes on this card. You know, time is money. You want to get as many cards up as possible as you can. So if you're sitting there wasting time trying to make it perfect, it's just part of the card to me. Next comment was, nope, I don't think postcards buyers really care about these prices. I've never had any complaints. The words right out of my mouth again. And the last comment was, yep. So some people feel they need to do that, and some people don't. But it came out where I thought it would be. The majority do not remove that. So if you're doing that, you might want to think twice. Is it really worth the time to do that, and does it damage the card? I let the collector take care of it. Just like on action figures, if there's a price tag on the front of the box, I most of the time I don't take the price tag off. I leave it there. Even if you send it in to get graded, they say, like an action figure and it's got a price tag, it doesn't really hurt to grade. Now if you try to take it off and you smudge the bubble, or you just can't get it off, or you damage it, that would hurt to grade. But you know, like ones with Toys R Us on there, I would definitely leave that on there, because Toys R Us went out of business. But you know, if anybody's ever questions that, just tell them back in 1810 with inflation, if it said 25 cents on it 40 years ago, then it's probably worth $10 today. But I've never had anybody question that. So, but that's the polls. Check them out. Come out every week. If you got any questions you want me to put up there, let me know. I need to fill it up. I got them scheduled all the way through for a while. It's really easy to do. So, polls. Next section is always my favorite, and I love comments that come in. So I picked out 2. So from Bill's Business, he said, I've had similar experience with auctions. So this was talking about those shipped photos, I believe, from a video where people thought I could get more money. I should get priced the little 3x6 photos of the Navy ships up more. I did that. I tried to raise the price. I did auctions. I experimented, and they just didn't go. And Bill here, Bill's Business, he's had a similar experience with auctions. I put up a very nice divided back of the Brooklyn Bridge with a starting price of $5. in an auction, and it didn't sell. He changed it to buy it now, and it sold within 30 days. You know, every time I do auctions, I'll throw 10 cards, 100 cards up, and then after it's done, one sells. I said, why am I going through this? And then I forget about the pain, and then another 60 days I'll do it again. But anymore, I don't do too many auctions on there. You know, I had 2 of those ship photos up. They just ended last week. I started at $455 or $450, which is a very good price for those. Not even one bid on there. So I'm with Bill. Buy it now is kind of what I use. The maintenance of buy it now is a lot easier too. Next question from Ron. Hello again. I sent you a message about 10 days ago about the scanner you use. You said you switched from the Fujitsu scanner to the Epson scanner. I just bought the Fujitsu 1600 and haven't used it yet. I have a question. Does either the Fujitsu or the Epson cause the postcard any damage? Namely, permanent curling after the scan to the point there is damage. The reason I have 2 scanners. I have the Fujitsu ScanSnap, and I also have the Epson 400. The reason when I first bought the Fujitsu, I liked the LCD screen, I liked the software part of it, but what it was missing is the background that creates a border around the edges of the card. And when you're selling cards that have like these covers, they're all white around there. The edges weren't clearly able to be shown with the Fujitsu, and I still haven't found a setting that would give me what the Epson does with the border around the card on the picture, so people can see how big it is in the edges. So that's why I got the Epson. So I had all these prints of boats. I had thousands of these, and they just weren't coming out nice. So I bought a brand new Epson 400, and I actually like it. I know both of them do their thing. I think the Fujitsu is probably in higher end with the LCD screen. It's wireless. Epson has a wireless one too. And I like the software on the Fujitsu. I think it's a little bit more intuitive, more well done than the Epson. But the Epson also is easy to use on there. So there's pros and cons of each, but they're at kind of different level on there. But they both do the same. The picture and the quality is about the same. I'm going to be doing a video with a comparison of the two and talk about the settings I have for the Epson. I really didn't have to do much with it. Just load the software, and I tweaked a few things, but I've kind of left it the same. And I've done thousands through each one. But do they do damage, he asked. The postcards, to me, and leave in the comments if you have any other thing about this, but they're not like the baseball cards and the football cards where people get real worried about edges and the condition of the card. These things have been mailed through the mail. You know, that's where I'd be more worried. But I've never had an issue putting cards through one of these, the Fujitsu or the Epson scanner on there. Now, some, like we were talking about embossed cards today, some of those might push the emboss down a little bit. It might need a little push through the scanner, but I've really never had damage on those as well. Now, things you don't want to push through there is any kind of add-ons, metal add-ons, or glitter. A lot in the early 1900s, they used a mica, which is glass on glass scratches. So you don't want to scratch your lenses in your scanner. So you want to try to make sure you don't put those through. I've accidentally put some of those through, but I haven't had any scratches. But I've never had any damage, no curling or anything on there. So it doesn't press down as hard as people think. But you can always try it with yours, and if you feel it does, you know, send it back. But I think you're pretty safe with postcards on those. Now, with the embossed cards, I bought those George Washington set, the patriotic cards, and I have a video about patriotic cards, and it does have some heavily embossed cards in there. So if you really want to see about patriotic cards and the embossing, check this video out here, and you can kind of see some of the pictures that I had. Or look in my store and you'll see some of the George Washington, but they don't sell well. I need some tips on those. I kind of lost some money on those. But, check that video out. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's all I got for you today. And I'll catch you on the next one.